Hey guys, Tyler Mohr from Outdoors First Media here, hanging out in one of southeastern Minnesota's trout streams, one of my favorite fisheries. Had to walk a long way to get back here, but it's been worth it today. And what I'm here to talk about is crankbait and jerkbait fishing for big brown trout. And it's something that I've been introduced to this year by my friend Cale Rinn, who is another trout guy down here in southeastern Minnesota in the Winona County area. And he introduced me as I've always been a spinner guy. I've always been a guy who's thrown his Meps and his Panther Martins and done really well and found no reason to switch. But this year, I was informed that he was doing really well up in the Whitewater River and areas like that on smaller crankbaits, and he suggested that I give it a try. And so I did. I went out and got some, or even used some of my finesse cranks for bass, and have really found success. And now it's my new favorite way to fish. And I just want to share it with you guys so you have something to add to your arsenal when you go out searching for trout. I want to share first things first, my setup. So I've got a 6-foot medium action rod. I'm using 8-pound super line. This is Berkeley Nano Fill, but I like to use a super line or even a braid. There's too many snags and stuff in here for me to use monofilament, although I know a lot of guys do. It's just a personal preference thing. So I'm using 8-pound super line, but I like a 6-foot rod or a short rod because you're in tight quarters in a lot of these streams. You can see behind me, this is not a big stream. So you're always tight quarter casting. You're flipping and pitching jerk baits and crankbaits into pools, around corners, into undercuts. So it's all very precise casting and short, a lot of times real short casts. And that 6-foot rod, that shorter rod, comes in real handy when we're doing that kind of stuff. I prefer a medium action because there's so many snags, and in these pools there's so many overhangs and rocks and stuff that fish can drag you into, that when you set the hook you want to turn that fish's head and get them coming towards you so they aren't able to run up against that current and get underneath those holes or those snags. So that's why I use a medium action rod over maybe a medium light. But I know guys who will use a medium light rod for situations like this because they think it gives better action to the bait. I haven't found that, so I stick with what I know and what I'm comfortable with, and so far so good. Let's talk a little bit about the baits. So when it comes to jerk baits or crankbaits, it's really, really simple. I have my arsenal below me. Today I've been throwing this Rapala floater. This is a size 5 floater in white and orange, that orange back right there. And that's been absolutely killing trout. Usually I'll go with a more natural looking color, like an X-Rap here with the baby brown trout, or a minnow look, because that emulates their prey and it just makes a little more sense in these small clear streams. But with the water, with all the rain that we've had, the water's higher and a little murkier. So just for that pure visibility factor, I've gone with the white and orange and had a lot of success this afternoon. But moving on to what these specific baits do and what their purpose is. This is a floater, and I like this floater in these smaller streams, in these shallower pools and faster moving water, because it's not going to dig me to the bottom. It's going to stay right in that strike zone, in that comfort zone for me across that pool. I can let it drift, I can reel it down, I can jerk it, and it's going to have the same action, and it's going to flutter back up to the top when I let it go. There are times when I'm in smaller pools and stuff where I won't even reel this bait. I'll just let it drift across the top of the pool, and I've caught fish doing that. So that, small water situations, I like those floaters, those small floaters, or small, minnow type baits, just because their action seems to fit what I'm doing better than something like an X-Rap or this Cultiva suspending jerkbait, which I like to use these for bigger water and deeper pools. When you get these pools that are 6-7 foot deep, this will get down into that 3 or 4 foot range and then sit there. I can let it sit in that strike zone. I can suspend it at 4 foot and it won't float back up, and then I'm able to jerk it and pop it and move it slower, and it'll stay right there where I want it to go. And so in bigger water situations I tend to go with a suspending type bait, whereas in smaller ones I like to go with the floating type bait. Other good options, sinking baits like a Rapala Countdown, or even small crankbait emulations like the Strike King Bitsy Minnow here, or Bitsy Crank. All good options. Remember, you're using small treble hooks. You have to give these fish a little more play. They will pull hooks on you. I've had it happen a couple times today where, I haven't given fish room to play, or let fish tire out, and I've been too anxious on the set and then trying to lift them, and that's just bad news. There's a reason trout guys carry nets. I wasn't smart enough to do that today, but it's something worth giving a try. It's different. A lot of areas, you know, trout guys don't try it. They just stick to their spinners or worms. But this is something that I've found. You're still going to catch as many numbers, but the size seems to go up, and so, you know, the average size of the fish has really gone up. And you know, I stuck a giant here on video that I don't know that I would have caught on a spinner, because it took me 5 or 6 casts to get him to come up on this bait. And you know, that's a fish that's seen a lot of baits. I don't care what you say. I mean, I'm back here, and no, not a lot of guys fish this area, but this was something different, and he knew it, and he came up and got it. So it's worth trying on your next outing. I wish you the best of luck. If you have any other questions about trout fishing or about jerkbait fishing for trout in particular, please let me know. And I hope to see you guys out on the water. Good luck.